Welcome back to Myths Unraveled. Like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Amdusias stands as a being of overwhelming presence, not through brute force of body, but through the sheer elemental power he commands. The thunder and storms that crash down from the heavens at his will. His dominion over these tempestuous forces marks him not only as a demon of chaos, but as a manifestation of nature's raw, uncontrollable fury. When Amdusias rises, the skies darken, the winds howl, and the air itself seems to tremble with anticipation. His voice is not one of calm persuasion, but of resounding terror, a cacophony that resonates with the power of thunderclaps and the roaring of storm-driven winds. He does not whisper, he booms, and in his wake follows a storm that leaves no soul untouched. The storm, in many mythic traditions, is more than mere weather. It is a divine or infernal expression of will, a force that can nourish or destroy, cleanse or devastate. Amdusias wields storms not with the detached hand of natural law, but with the deliberate, vengeful intent of a ruler exacting tribute. His storms are not random. They are called forth with purpose, each bolt of lightning a message, each crash of thunder a declaration. His dominion over thunder is not simply a physical phenomenon, but a symbol of his mastery over fear itself. For when thunder rolls across the sky, even the boldest heart can falter, and Amdusias thrives on this trembling. To summon thunder is to assert control over sound, over vibration, over the unseen force that can rattle bones and shatter resolve. Amdusias understands that sound, unlike sight, penetrates all barriers. It moves through walls, through flesh, through the mind itself. His thunder is not just a noise, it is a presence, an invasion, a disruption of peace. When he calls forth the storm, it is not merely to wreak havoc on the land, but to unnerve, to dominate the senses. The sky is his stage, and with every peal of thunder, he reminds the world below that silence is a fleeting illusion, that stillness is but a breath away from upheaval. In the lore of Amdusias, thunder is his voice, and storms his song. But this is not a melody of beauty or grace. It is a song of wrath, of power uncontained. He uses thunder to command, to summon lesser spirits, to announce his presence in a manner that cannot be ignored. His followers, those attuned to his dreadful harmony, learn to read the storm's language, to hear in its fury the words of their master. To them, each thunderclap is instruction, each gust of wind a sign, and they move in concert with the tempests he brings, their rituals synchronized with the chaos above. His control over storms extends beyond mere spectacle. Storms disrupt life, tearing apart the routines and structures that give people comfort. Amdusias revels in this disruption. The farmer's fields, the sailor's voyage, the traveler's path, all are at his mercy when the skies turn dark. He brings down the rain not to nurture, but to drown, not to renew but to wash away all that stands in defiance of his will. The wind that howls through cities and forests alike carries with it his spirit, unseen yet undeniably felt, a reminder that even the mightiest of human creations can be humbled in moments. Yet, Amdusias' storms are not mindless. They are precise in their targets, guided by his intention to instill fear, to display dominance, to assert that no corner of the earth lies beyond his reach. He chooses when and where to strike, his storms following the scent of pride, of false security. Those who believe themselves safe, who dwell in fortresses of stone or towers of power, are those he most delights in shaking. The ground may be firm, but the sky cannot be tamed, and through it, Amdusias reaches down with fingers of lightning, with voices of thunder, to remind the earthbound of their vulnerability. Amdusias' affinity with thunder also makes him a figure of judgment. In many traditions, thunder is the sound of divine anger, a herald of punishment for sins unspoken. Amdusias takes this image and twists it, not delivering justice, but delivering terror. His thunder is not a call to repentance, but a proclamation of doom. He cares not for guilt or innocence, only for the impact of fear, for the bending of wills under the weight of his storm. In his presence, all are equal, equally powerless, equally exposed to the wrath he can unleash. His storms are not constant, they are summoned, Like his anger, at the moment they will do the most damage. He is a strategist of weather, a tactician of sound. When he is silent, it is not from mercy but from patience. The calm before the storm is a tool he uses well, lulling his targets into false security before unleashing his might. This sudden shift from peace to chaos is one of his most feared attributes. The unsuspecting hear a distant rumble, feel a subtle shift in the air, and then the heavens open, and all is turmoil. This unpredictability makes him not just feared, but respected among those who know his ways, for he is a master of timing, a conductor of dread. In the natural world, storms are ephemeral, passing with time, but Amdusias leaves more than physical scars. His storms linger in the memory, in the nervous flinching at distant thunder, in the unease at gathering clouds. He instills a lasting fear, a trauma that recurs with every future storm, as the mind recalls the destruction he wrought before. His power is not just over the moment, but over the lasting impression of terror, the psychological hold he maintains through the mere threat of return. Beyond the terror, there is also awe. Amdusias' storms are magnificent in their power, in their display of forces beyond comprehension. To witness his thunder is to confront the sublime, to feel both terror and wonder in equal measure. This duality is part of his allure. He is not merely a destroyer, but a revealer of nature's grandeur, though twisted through a lens of fear. Those who seek power may try to commune with him, to harness a fragment of his control over the elements, but they do so at great risk. For Amdusias does not share freely. He demands loyalty, submission, and in return offers not peace, but the power to instill fear in others, to command storms that echo his own. In cities and courts, where power is contested, Amdusias is invoked as a symbol of unchallengeable authority. Leaders who wish to rule with fear may seek his favor, hoping to emulate his command over disruption, to use his storms as metaphors for their own reign. Yet few can truly hold what he offers, for the storm is a wild force, and Amdusias remains its true master. Those who try to wield his thunder often find themselves consumed by it, their ambitions turned to dust in the very winds they sought to control. In personal tales, Amdusias appears as the force that challenges hubris, that tears down the edifices built on pride and arrogance. He is the storm that shatters illusions, the thunder that silences false bravado. He teaches that nothing is permanent, that all things can fall when the heavens themselves rise against them. Yet within this lesson is also the chance for humility, for a recognition of one's place in the grand scheme. Those who survive his storms may emerge wiser, more attuned to the forces that govern existence, more respectful of the power they cannot wield. Amdusias' thunder is not just a sound, it is a language, a declaration, a force that speaks of chaos, but also of truth, the truth that control is fleeting, that power must be respected, that nature in its fury is a voice none can silence. He is both feared and revered, a being whose presence is marked not by sight, but by the trembling of the earth, the roaring of the skies, the beating of hearts that know they stand in the shadow of a power far greater than themselves. Through thunder, Amdusias speaks, and all who hear him must listen. Amdusias is a figure of discord and tumult, not only because of his control over storms and thunder, but also through his dominion over music, specifically, music that does not soothe or uplift, but disturbs, agitates, and unravels. His realm is filled with the cacophony of corrupted sound, with instruments that do not harmonize but clash, with melodies that mock the natural order of rhythm and tone. He is the master of discordant music, of the kind that evokes unease rather than joy, that breaks rather than builds. His is not the artistry of the muse, but the noise of a force that uses sound as a weapon, turning the beauty of music into something alien and terrifying. To understand Amdusias' power, one must consider the fundamental nature of music. At its essence, music is structured sound, organized to convey emotion, to connect souls, to transcend the mundane and reach something greater. Music has been used in rituals, in worship, in healing, and in war. It can inspire, comfort, and unite. But when this order is broken, When the structure is twisted, music becomes dissonant, not in a challenging way, but in a destructive one. Amdusias takes this dissonance to its extreme, creating aural experiences that dismantle the listener's sense of peace, of balance, of reality itself. The music Amdusias produces is not merely unpleasant, it is invasive, penetrating into the mind with jagged rhythms and harsh tones that resist resolution. It lingers, not as a remembered tune, but as an echo of something wrong, something off-kilter. This music plays on the edge of madness, pulling at the threads of sanity, unraveling the listener's grasp on the familiar. Where ordinary music builds tension and releases it, providing a sense of journey and return, Amdusias' compositions are all tension, all unresolved, leaving the listener in a state of perpetual unease. There is no release, no conclusion, only the relentless assault of sound that never allows rest. His instruments are as twisted as his music, horns that scream instead of sing, strings that buzz and snap, drums that pound out rhythms too complex, too irregular to follow. These instruments are played not by skilled hands but by spirits, enslaved to his will, compelled to perform endlessly in the halls of his dominion. Their music does not celebrate life but mocks it, each note a sneer, each chord a blow. The performers are trapped in their roles, their suffering adding to the malevolence of the sound, their torment woven into the very fabric of the noise they produce. Amdusias' music serves a purpose beyond mere disturbance. It is a form of domination, of control. Through sound, he asserts his will, breaking down resistance not through argument or force, but through the sheer, overwhelming presence of his cacophony. Those subjected to his music find themselves disoriented, unable to think clearly, their thoughts scattered by the relentless noise. He uses this confusion to manipulate, to implant his own desires into the minds of the weak, to bend them to his service. His music becomes a kind of mental fog, a cloud of sound that dulls the senses and opens the soul to influence. In the mortal world, Amdusias' influence can be seen in the perversion of art, in the creation of works that do not uplift but degrade. He inspires compositions that glorify chaos, that celebrate nihilism, that strip music of its power to heal and replace it with the power to harm. Under his guidance, artists create not from love or passion, but from bitterness, from anger, from the desire to provoke and unsettle. These works gain popularity not for their beauty, but for their shock, their ability to disturb. They become icons of rebellion not against tyranny, but against order itself. Amdusias also uses music as a means of summoning. His name is invoked in rituals where sound is the conduit for bringing forth spirits, where the right sequence of notes can open doors between worlds. But these are not the harmonious chants of benevolent calling. They are harsh invocations filled with dissonance and dread, designed to tear the veil rather than lift it. His music rends the air, creating spaces where his influence seeps through, where the laws of nature are momentarily bent to allow his presence. Those who use his music for summoning risk not only the spirits they call, but the sanity they lose in the process. The experience of hearing Amdusias' music is often described as an assault on the soul. It bypasses the ears, striking directly at the core of being, resonating in the bones, vibrating in the mind. It is a full-body experience, one that cannot be escaped simply by blocking the ears. The sound is everywhere, within and without, a storm of noise that breaks down the barriers between self and other, between thought and instinct. In this maelstrom, identity becomes fluid, certainty dissolves, and the individual becomes susceptible to the suggestions, the commands, the will of Amdusias. Despite the horror, there is a fascination to his music, a dark allure that draws some closer rather than driving them away. There are those who seek out the dissonance, who find in it a reflection of their own inner chaos, their own rejection of harmony. They embrace the discomfort, seeing in it a form of truth, a revelation of the world's inherent disorder. These followers become his disciples, spreading his music, creating works that echo his influence, bringing the sound of his realm into the mortal plane. They revel in the reactions they provoke, in the power they wield through noise, in the feeling of being part of something larger, something terrible and grand. Amdusias' relationship with other demons is shaped by his control over this unique form of power. While others may rule through fear, through temptation, through violence, he rules through sound, through the intangible but inescapable force of noise. His music disrupts their plans, unsettles their dominions, but it also serves them, for chaos weakens resistance, and in the confusion, all may take what they desire. He is both ally and adversary, respected for his power, reviled for his disregard for order, even among the infernal. Yet none can deny the effectiveness of his methods, the inevitability of his sound. In the narrative of cosmic conflict, Amdusias represents the perversion of divine music, of the celestial harmony said to govern the spheres. He is a fallen conductor, a maestro of malevolence, who takes the sacred and makes it profane. His music is not a reflection of the cosmos, but a denial of it, a statement that there is no order, no pattern, only the noise we impose and the noise that eventually overwhelms us. His existence is a challenge to those who believe in beauty, in structure, in the power of song to bring light. He is the darkness in music, the shadow that shows that even the most noble of arts can be twisted into something grotesque. Resistance to Amdusias' music is difficult, but not impossible. It requires a strong sense of self, a grounding in purpose that does not waver in the face of chaos. Those who confront his sound must find their own rhythm, their own melody that cannot be drowned out. They must hold to the idea that harmony is possible, that noise, however loud, cannot destroy the essence of true music. In doing so, they can create counterpoints, harmonies that defy his dissonance, that reclaim the power of sound for good. Ultimately, Amdusias' role as master of cacophonous music is a testament to the dual nature of all things powerful. Music, like fire, like speech, can build or burn, can unite or divide. His existence is a warning and a challenge, to recognize the power of sound, to respect it, to use it wisely, lest it be used against us. He is the voice of chaos, the song of discord, the reminder that beauty, though strong, must be defended against the darkness that seeks to corrupt it. Through understanding his nature, we come to understand the delicate balance between creation and destruction, between the music that uplifts and the noise that brings us low. Amdusias presents a paradox of form and symbolism, for he appears not in the terrifying shapes often associated with demons of chaos and destruction, but as a figure crowned with a unicorn's head, a creature historically tied to purity, grace and divine mystery. Yet in his hands, this image becomes a grotesque mockery, a twisting of the sacred into the profane. His very appearance serves as a testament to the corruption of ideals, a visual deception that undermines the expectations of beauty and virtue. Amdusias is not content to destroy outright. He corrupts, perverts and distorts what is noble into something unsettling, wielding his unicorn visage as both mask and weapon. The unicorn, in many traditions, is a symbol of innocence, a creature that cannot be tamed by force, but only approached with gentleness and pure intent. It is said to dwell in untouched forests, elusive and mysterious, a beacon of something untouched by the corruption of the world. In medieval lore, the unicorn was associated with Christ, with the divine, with healing and chastity. Its horn, the alicorn, was believed to purify water, to neutralize poison, to bring life where there was death. The image of the unicorn thus evokes a sense of the sacred, a vision of beauty and sanctity unspoiled. Amdusias takes this image and shatters it. His unicorn head is not a sign of purity, but of desecration. The noble horn, instead of healing, is an instrument of domination, of piercing truth with falsehood. His eyes, where innocence should reside, burn with malevolence, reflecting not wonder, but contempt. The grace of the unicorn's form becomes a thing of horror when affixed to the body of a demon. Its elegance turns stiff and unnatural, a carcass of meaning animated by a spirit of scorn. His entire presence challenges those who behold him to question their understanding of symbols, to confront the unsettling truth that what appears beautiful may harbor rot within. This perversion is not accidental, but deliberate. Amdusias embodies the power of deception, not in the subtle lies of speech, but in the deeper lies of appearance and assumption. He teaches that trust placed in surface beauty is a fool's trust, that virtue worn as a mask is the most dangerous of all guises. By adopting the form of a unicorn, he draws the eye, compels attention, lures with a semblance of what is good. But the longer one gazes, the more the dissonance grows, the small distortions, the unease, the realization that something is terribly wrong. He is a creature of illusion and irony, a walking blasphemy that uses the sacred as a tool for corruption. The psychological impact of such an appearance is profound. Those who encounter Amdusias are not merely frightened by his power, but disturbed by the betrayal of expectation. They see in him a reflection of their own susceptibility to falsehood, their own longing for beauty and truth manipulated against them. He forces them to question their judgments, to doubt the validity of what they perceive. In this way, he undermines not only external reality but internal certainty, sowing confusion and despair. For if even the unicorn can be a demon, then what hope remains for trust, for faith in goodness? Amdusias' unicorn head also speaks to the idea of corrupted majesty. He is a duke of hell, a figure of authority and command, and he wears his crown, not with humility but with pride. His form proclaims a twisted royalty, a rule founded not on the consent of the governed, but on fear and subjugation. The unicorn, once a free and wild creature, now bound to his service, becomes a symbol of power enslaved, of nobility forced into the service of evil. His very body is a testament to conquest, not of lands or armies, but of ideals, of symbols, of the sacred itself. In the infernal courts, Amdusias stands as a unique figure, his form setting him apart from his peers. Where others may revel in monstrous forms, in the grotesque and the terrifying, he maintains an image that demands a second glance, that unsettles not through obvious horror, but through the uncanny. He does not scream his threat, he implies it, his presence a riddle that cannot be easily dismissed. Other demons may inspire immediate dread, but Amdusias lingers in the mind, a question unanswered, a discomfort unresolved. This unsettling presence makes him particularly dangerous. He does not need to strike to cause harm. His very being is a disruption. Those who seek to confront him find themselves disarmed, not by power, but by doubt. They hesitate, unsure of what they face, unsure of how to react to something that should be impossible. This hesitation is all he needs. In the space between certainty and fear, he exerts his influence, turning defenders into skeptics, warriors into dreamers, leaders into followers. His form is a constant reminder that the world is not as it seems, that beneath the surface of order lies the chaos he represents. In his interactions with mortals, Amdusias uses his appearance to manipulate and deceive. He appears to those in search of purity, of guidance, of beauty, offering them visions that match their desires. He leads them into traps of their own making, into choices that seem right but are poisoned with his intent. His promises are wrapped in the language of the sacred, his demands cloaked in the guise of virtue. Those who follow him do so willingly at first, believing they serve a higher cause, that they have found something rare and true. Only when it is too late do they see the horned shadow, the glint of malice in his eye, the trap sprung. His form also serves as a challenge to the divine, a mockery of the celestial order. By taking on the visage of a creature associated with heaven, he stakes a claim against the authority of the divine, asserting that even the holiest of symbols can be turned. He is a declaration of rebellion, not only in deed but in form, a standing insult to the gods and their followers. His existence proclaims that the sacred is not untouchable, that it can be broken, reshaped, used for purposes it was never meant to serve. Yet, within this corruption lies a strange truth. Amdusias' form, in all its twisted majesty, reveals the power of belief, the importance of symbols, the vulnerability of ideals. He shows that what we hold sacred must be protected not only from external enemies, but from the slow, insidious corruption that can wear it down from within. His unicorn head is a warning, a sign that beauty can be hollow, that purity can be feigned, that majesty can serve darkness if left unchecked. He forces a confrontation with the reality of deception, with the necessity of discernment. Those who face Amdusias and understand this truth are not destroyed by his form, but strengthened. They learn to look beyond appearances, to seek substance over surface, to guard against the seduction of easy beauty. They become warriors of the real, defenders not just of the symbol, but of what it stands for. In defeating him, they reclaim the unicorn, not as a creature of naive idealism, but as a symbol of resilience, of purity tested and proven. Amdusias, in his unicorn guise, is more than a demon. He is a reflection of the world's complexities, of the fragile line between good and evil, between the sacred and the profane. He teaches that vigilance is necessary, that trust must be earned, that symbols, while powerful, are not invulnerable. His form is a challenge to complacency, a call to deeper understanding, a reminder that true beauty lies not in the surface, but in the soul. And in this, he serves not only as an adversary, but as a dark teacher, one whose lessons, though bitter, can lead to greater strength. Amdusias stands as a demon, not only of storms and discordant sound, but as a dark patron of art corrupted, of music and creativity, turned away from their higher callings, and harnessed for the purposes of madness, unrest, and moral decay. His influence over artists, musicians, poets, and creators does not manifest as overt destruction, but as a subtle bending of their vision, a redirection of inspiration from beauty to blasphemy, from harmony to chaos. He whispers into the ears of the talented, twisting their gifts, offering them visions of grandeur achieved not through truth or light, but through provocation, degradation, and the power to shake the very souls of their audience with unrelenting discomfort. Art in its purest form is often seen as a reflection of the divine, a human endeavor to capture the ineffable, to translate the emotions and experiences of the soul into something that can be shared and understood. It uplifts, it inspires, it brings people closer to each other, and some would say closer to whatever higher power they believe in. Music, painting, sculpture, poetry, all of these crafts, when nurtured by love and a desire to elevate, hold the power to heal, to unify, to bring light into darkness. But Amdusias, as the demon of corrupted art, sees this power and seeks to subvert it. He understands that anything capable of such profound good is also capable of profound harm if redirected with intent. Amdusias does not create, he does not compose, he distorts. He takes what is pure and injects it with venom, seeping into the minds of creators and offering them new darker muses. He does not do so violently or obviously. He is subtle, insidious, presenting the corruption as innovation, as daring, as the courage to break free from conventional constraints. He tells the artist that their work can be more than beautiful, it can be powerful, shocking, unforgettable. He tempts them with the idea that true genius lies not in reflecting truth, but in crafting lies so seductive, so compelling, that they are mistaken for truth. Under his influence, art becomes a weapon, a song that once soothed now incites rage, a painting that once calmed now disturbs, a poem that once sang of love now revels in despair. Amdusias takes the emotional core of art and flips it, making the audience feel deeply, but in all the wrong ways. He feeds on the unrest that follows, on the arguments sparked, on the confusion, the fear, the unease that lingers long after the work is experienced. He does not want to be forgotten. His goal is to leave a mark, to implant doubt and disquiet, to ensure that no one who witnesses the art under his patronage walks away unchanged. For the artist, the descent into Amdusias's embrace is gradual. It begins with a desire to push boundaries, to challenge norms. There is nothing inherently wrong with this. It is, after all, how art evolves. But Amdusias is there at the edge, waiting for the moment when challenge becomes contempt, when the desire to explore becomes a desire to provoke for provocation's sake. He encourages the belief that beauty is weakness, that harmony is a lie, that the only honest art is that which exposes the darkness of the world and of the soul. He presents the grotesque as more real than the sublime, the chaotic as more truthful than the orderly. The works produced under his sway often achieve notoriety, for they stand out, they demand attention. They are praised by some for their audacity, their refusal to conform, their rawness. But this praise is hollow, a part of the trap. It feeds the ego of the creator, binding them more tightly to the demon's will. Success becomes measured not by the depth of insight, but by the breadth of shock, by the intensity of reaction. The artist becomes addicted to this feedback, to the feeling of control over their audience's emotions, to the power of disruption. They lose sight of the purpose that first drew them to create, replacing it with the hollow thrill of causing discomfort. Amdusias also manipulates the artist's fear of irrelevance, of failure, of mediocrity. He whispers that to be remembered, one must be bold, one must be willing to cross lines others fear. He presents corruption as a path to immortality, as the only way to ensure that the world takes notice. In their desperation to matter, to be seen, to make an impact, the artist succumbs, allowing their work to be tainted by the very forces they once resisted. Their canvas becomes a battlefield, their stage a place of ritual desecration, their audience not partners in beauty, but victims of their inner torment. The audience too suffers under the influence of Amdusias. They come seeking meaning, seeking connection, and are instead confronted with despair, with rage, with emptiness disguised as depth. Some are drawn in, mistaking the intensity of their reaction for a sign of greatness, believing that discomfort must mean they are facing something profound. Others are repelled, but unable to forget what they have seen or heard. The corruption lingers, not as a lesson, but as a wound, a reminder that not all art heals, that not all beauty is true. Amdusias thrives on this tension, on the division he creates. He uses art to drive wedges between people, to make them question their values, their beliefs, their understanding of what is good and what is evil. He blurs the line between expression and indoctrination, between revelation and manipulation. Under his guidance, art becomes not a mirror to the soul, but a hammer to the spirit, breaking down rather than reflecting, destroying rather than revealing. In the world of music, his influence is particularly strong. The human response to sound is primal, immediate, bypassing thought and striking at the heart. Amdusias crafts melodies that unsettle, rhythms that disorient, harmonies that clash in ways that disturb rather than delight. His music is a cacophony that enthralls even as it repels, drawing the listener into a space where the familiar rules no longer apply. It is music that suggests a world without order, without hope, a world ruled by chaos and pain. Yet even in this corruption, there are those who resist. There are artists who, confronted with the path Amdusias offers, choose instead to reclaim their craft, to fight for the integrity of their vision. They recognize the danger in his whispers, the emptiness of his promises, and they turn away, often at great cost. They may lose fame, lose followers, lose the allure of being seen as daring or revolutionary, but they gain something far greater, the ability to create with honesty, with purpose, with love. These resistors become beacons, their works shining in contrast to the darkness Amdusias spreads. They remind the world that art can challenge without destroying, that it can reveal pain without glorifying it, that it can confront darkness without succumbing to it. They show that beauty is not a lie, that harmony is not weakness, and that true strength lies in the courage to create something that uplifts rather than degrades. Amdusias, for all his power, cannot stand against this light. His influence thrives in isolation, in secrecy, in the echo chambers of despair. When faced with true art, with creations born of genuine feeling and integrity, his cacophony falters. He may corrupt, he may twist, but he cannot create, and this is his greatest weakness. For all his efforts to pervert, there remains in the world a wellspring of inspiration that he cannot touch, a core of truth that resists his grasp. The struggle between corrupted and genuine art is eternal, a reflection of the broader battle between darkness and light, between despair and hope. Amdusias plays his part, tempting, distorting, challenging. But for every soul he leads astray, there are others who stand firm, who remember why they first picked up the brush, the pen, the instrument. They create not for fame, not for power, but for the sheer joy of bringing something new into the world, something that speaks to the better angels of our nature. In the end, Amdusias' role as the patron of corrupted art is a cautionary tale, a reminder that with great power comes great responsibility, and that the gifts of creativity must be wielded with care. Art has the power to shape the world, to heal or to harm, and those who create must choose which path they will follow. Amdusias will always be there, whispering his seductive lies, offering the easy road. But those who know the value of their gift, who cherish the light they carry, will see him for what he is, a shadow cast by their own brilliance, a test of their resolve, a challenge to be met and overcome. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like and subscribe for more, and stay curious.